Hey friends, it's Emily with Burlap Kitchen. I have something really cute to show you with these little slats that I got at Lowe's. I made something on my main page the other day, and today we're going to use these same slats and turn them into a snowman. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut them down. The thin part I'm going to cut down just to make them kind of resemble a fence. And then I'm going to take another piece that I cut down to glue them all together, just a smaller piece. And I'm just using my hot glue so they all stick together. Once I get that done, then I'm going to flip it around and I am going to start to paint it. I'm starting with some Waverly Antique Wax and a baby wipe, and I'm just applying that to the entire project, front and back. And once we get that on, we're going to make sure everything is nice and dry before we move on. Again, I'm just using a baby wipe to apply this. They work wonderfully for this. So I use my blow dryer here to dry it up. And now I'm going to cut down another slat. This is going to be the hat for the snowman. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that with black. Now I didn't bother antiquing that because we're going to sand that and I don't think it's going to come through anyways. So we're going to go ahead and use our black paint, and I'm just using a little paint sponge for that. And then I'm going to sand that off once it's dry to give it that rustic look. Now I just kind of laid it in place to kind of figure out like how tall I want the hat. So keep that in mind. You kind of want both slats to cover each other up. Like the back one that you put on, you want that to kind of be covered up with that front hat piece. And then once it's dry, I'm going to go ahead and sand it. Now that I have that sanded, I'm going to come in with some vintage white and I'm going to start to apply that. So I'm going to add that here to the bottom half of the snowman. And again, I'm just using another one of those paint sponges. If you're interested in those and you're watching on Facebook, just comment favorites. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll go ahead and link the information down below. And then I'm going to take my sanding block and just sand it up and give it that rustic look, and you can see how that stain comes through. That's why I like to stain it first. And then I'm going to glue the hat on. Now I'm using two different packs. We have both the Christmas embellishment pack, which I'm using for the snowflakes, and then I'm also using the nose pack that we have, the multi-size nose pack for the nose for this. So if you're interested in any of those, and you're watching on Facebook, just comment crafty. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll link it down below. So then I'm going to go ahead and stain those with the Waverly Antique Wax, make sure they're dry. And now I'm using that same white color that I used on the snowman, and I'm going to use that on the snowflakes as well. Now for the nose, I'm going to use my favorite Toasted Terracotta. I absolutely love this color for snowman noses. I use it all the time. Give it a dry, and then I'm going to scuff it up with my sandpaper. Make sure it's dry again. And then I did the same thing here with the snowflakes, just scuff those up with sandpaper as well. I get a lot of questions on these sanding blocks. You can find those at Walmart or Lowe's usually. And then I'm just going to lay everything in place how I want it to look. And then I'm using a smaller paint pouncer and a larger paint pouncer to add both the eyes and the mouth. So I'm going to start here with the eyes, and I'm using the larger one for that. And I'm just carefully adding those. And then the smaller one I used to add the mouth. Now I'm going to make sure they're dry. And I don't like to glue the nose in place until I'm done with the face. And then I'm using some blush just to add a little bit of cheeks here. And now we'll go ahead and glue the nose in place. And I started gluing the snowflakes in place. Now this bottom one, I do wish I would have waited because I decided to put a scarf on him. So I wish I would have put it on top of the scarf, but still super cute. Then I'm just adding some white dots here to the center of the eyes just to give a little bit of detail to the snowman. So I just added like a little bit larger dot to the top and the smaller one to the bottom. And then I added little curved lines to the bottom to the mouth, just again for a little bit of detail. So you see here now I decided to add a little bit of a scarf. So I wish I would have waited and tied that or glued that snowflake on the center of the scarf, but it's still, like I said, still turned out super cute. I think you guys are going to absolutely love this idea. I'm excited for you guys to try this one. You will have to let me know if you decide to try it. I did glue the scarf in place so it just lays the way that I want it to lay. And of course you got to trim it up a little bit, and this just turned out so cute. Let me know what you think and if you plan to give this one a try.